back again.
Come on, Ian. Come on.
As the big man Ian Wright just said there, people, Deluded, I'm back again. It's Thursdays where I have the pleasure of speaking Arsenal with Jess. We will be heading over to her platform. I hope so. I've said this the last 2-3 weeks.
We will.
Can we get confirmation of that?
Yes, we will.
Okay. The DG racism on her platform has stopped. How are you doing, Jess?
No. Yesterday was like, okay, we got Real Madrid. Go. Like, it's the first time in a long time we're meant to go out, or we're playing up against a team that we're meant that are better than us. And it's not even like a question. So
why are they better than us? How are they better than us? Let's jump straight. Let's start right there. How are they better than us?
I just think they have more talent. Everywhere, if I'm honest. And that doesn't mean we're talentless, because
they've got Mbappe, we've got Merino and Sterling.
And listen, it's marginal. It's really, really marginal there. I mean, we're talking about just but I think people are going to think that I'm saying that we're talentless, and we're not. There's a lot of talent in our side, but we'll be kidding ourselves to even try to convince ourselves that they don't just have more talent.
You sound defeated already.
No, honestly, I don't. My whole thing is, we've seen teams with less talent than us give us a really hard time and sometimes beat us, So when I say that we have less talent, that's not the same as me saying that there's no chance that we could go through. Is it unlikely or it's less likely? Yes, it's less likely. I feel like on paper that we'll go through, but football isn't played on paper. We've played in cup competitions against bad sides and, didn't go through. And we've seen upsets before. This would be one of the biggest upsets, though, I think, in a long time, so I wonder how we approach it. Do we go in as the team? Do they go in with the defeatist mentality? Like, we got the best team in the world, so, oh my gosh, it's over. We don't have so-and-so player. We don't have this, we don't have that. Or do they go out there with a level of freedom, knowing that all the pressure is really on Real Madrid to send us packing, So it's going to be interesting to see how they approach the game. But I really do want them to play with some level of freedom and confidence, because if we
What do you mean by that?
I just think that when we overthink it, I think my biggest concern at the end of this tie would be if we look back and we're talking about the two legs and we can't remember any real chances that we had. We can't really remember times where we put them under pressure. Maybe we didn't score any goals, stuff like that. I would love for us to, at the very least, be able to talk about how we gave them a headache. If they go through, that is the expectation. But I don't want us to go out with a whimper. I don't want it to feel like it did, in the two legs against Porto and Bayern, where there were so limited moments from us in the final third that it was like, so what did we do for those 180 minutes? So it's one of those, I think we'll be written off by most people. And Thierry Henry was talking about it, and Kate Scott asked him, what do Arsenal need to do, or how do they prepare, whatever. And he at first was like, I'm not answering. And then was like, if you don't have the confidence that you can get through, you might as well not even, you might as well not even show up. And I do think that that's the best way to go about it. And he did speak about the last time that we did play against them in the Champions League, that we were looked at as the underdog. Now,
we had men though, man. Respectfully, not to sound that outdated, but we had men, testosterone, high level intensity men. We've got boys at this moment.
It's still the same thing, though. I think the premise is it all applies the same. Whether we have a Thierry Henry or not, whether we lack creativity or not, if you go to the Bernabeu and you don't feel like you even have a chance, don't go.
Belief is the first step.
Yeah, of course. And then just actually play. It's actually fucking play. Try to get your game off. Don't be afraid to take a man on or try something risky. The worst thing we could do is sit up at the halfway line, high line, pass it sideways and backwards, give away the ball, and they go right down and hit it in the back of the net.
So you think it's a psychological kind of two-legged tie above all?
I think it's a lot of it is psychological, but I also think it's tactical and how Arteta sets us up. If he sets us up like he usually does, where we have all the ball and it's just going to take one mistake from us to concede a goal, we will get slapped. I really do think that we don't have the types of players that can play 90 minutes against Real Madrid without making a single mistake in possessing the ball at 60-70% of the ball. That's not going to work. So he has to approach it differently. I would love to see at the end of the game that we had 30%. I think we're at our best when we have less of the ball. I really do. I think when we have more of it, we make too many mistakes. We saw it even yesterday. We made 2 mistakes on the ball, try to play out from the back, and they scored twice. So what do you think Real Madrid is going to do to you? So it's all about how we set up, but we are the underdogs, and that should give us a level of, whoosah. It's not like last season where people are like, you should be beating this shitty Bayern team, and then we go out. It's different, so it is going to be really interesting, and probably, it'll be scary, but it'll be fun, I think, for me to see Saliba and Gabriel go up against some of the best attackers in the world, because I think that they are more
fullbacks as well. Don't forget potentially Calafiori, Lewis Skelly up against the plethora of talent, and Timber or Benjamin White. I've got more faith in our defense. If I'm honest,
I think they're more than equipped to show that they are as good as we think that they are. I want to see it. I am more than confident that maybe we will concede, but I think they'll put up a really, really good fight and show their levels. Gabriel is playing out of this world this season. He is clear our player of the season. And I would love for a player that's always written off and never is considered the best, I want to see him perform against the best so that we could go like, okay, because I don't know why we're not having conversations about Gabriel like we should. He is world class, and I'm standing 10 toes down. He is. He just is.
How do you feel about the approach then? Because the first thing I want to ask you, smash the like button and subscribe to Jess. The link is in the title, by the way, folks. Don't be lazy. It's a two-legged tie of sorts. We're here and then we're going over there. Mm-hmm. The first thing I want to ask you, because obviously you're a content creator. Above all, you're an Arsenal fan, Obviously, we know we're playing Real Madrid, but I'm sure you had them discussions, Atletico, Real, which one would you rather? Some people, I would have rathered Atletico because they're a good team and it's difficult, don't get it twisted, but it's not Real Madrid. It's not the experienced Carlo Ancelotti who they can press well, they can sit off you, they've got individual brilliance. But there were many people that said they would have preferred Real Madrid. Was you one of those?
Yeah, I was. I did.
Damn. So you need to let us know your thoughts. Damn.
Yeah, because it's not from a give me Real Madrid.
Bring on Real Madrid.
No, it's not that at all. Like, it's not coming from it. Just because you wanted to get Real Madrid doesn't mean you're deluded. Like, let's just take Real Madrid. No, I just personally think that going up against Simeone is like going for machine for machine for a team that tries to do very similar things to us.
Surely that suits us though. Suits us. Sorry.
I don't think it does.
Lower mid block stinking out the place. Rather than an open game where we don't move the ball quick enough or control the fan margins.
I don't think it suits us. I just don't. I think we need the game to be a little bit more open. I think we need a team to attack us. And I don't think Atletico would just sit back in a deep block, but they're too defensively sound and they're too they're not arrogant enough as Real Madrid would just open up and just play their game. I do think that they would try to stunt us with a mid-low block. And no matter what, we are not good at breaking down mid to low blocks. But I don't think Real Madrid is going to have as much respect for us as they had for Manchester City when they went to the Etihad and sat in. They're not going to sit in against us in either leg. Not one. They're going to go say, we got this. And so I don't want to see us go machine for machine and try to go up against the master of what we try to do, because they have better players at the top end. It's just not going to work. So for the sake of the spectacle and the sake of Arsenal getting openings that we're going to need, and hopefully we don't have to sit at the halfway line and try to pass it sideways and backwards. Hopefully that helps us, but it's not about give us Real Madrid. We are not going to beat Simeone at his own game. We're just not.
Do you see Arteta changing anything for that game? Because there's, some would say maybe go to a back three, potentially put Martinelli through the middle, or do you think it's going to be same old, same old?
What do you think?
Listen, you are the guest. You're the one they want to hear from. They see me all the time. We want to hear your thoughts.
Arteta's not going to change anything. He's hard-headed.
Stubborn, very stubborn, man. Very stubborn, man. And I don't think anything's going to change, man. Where do you think it comes down to? Because many people would say the home fixture. I can't speak for Mikel Arteta, but I think in his post-game comments, immediately he started talking about the atmosphere and all of these kind of things. Where do you think it's won or lost between the two legs?
I mean, I think if... I don't even know. I feel like I would love to say that if we get a good performance at home, it would help us, but I just don't sense the Emirates being the type of cauldron that it would need to be for us to.
You don't think Madrid will be scared of North London forever, wherever.
But people have to remember last season we got the home leg first, and Bayern couldn't even have fans, and they still walked away with a draw. So Arsenal, the Emirates is not a fortress. And I said that months ago, and people tried to cook me for it, pulling up all these stats about how we don't lose at home and we don't do this. We've
got a faultless record at the Emirates in the champ so far.
When it matters, it is not a fortress. It's just not. Look at the Aston Villa game this season, not a fortress.
Well, people are not scared to come to the Emirates. I think they're scared of Arsenal generally because we're a better team, but we're not Newcastle away. We're not Anfield. We're not the Bernabeu. It's not scary. Again, North London forever ain't scaring no one.
Yeah, I mean, we went out of both cups at home. We literally went out of both cups at home. We stunk it out against Newcastle at home, and then we turned around and pulled our pants down against Manchester United like a couple days later. At home. Those were games at home. Again, do or die, have to get it done. So for me, it's the atmosphere and all that kind of stuff is not going to help us. It's all going to be about those 11 guys on the pitch being able to calm their nerves and to play their game. And ultimately, as simple as it sounds, if we're not clinical and they're clinical and we're making mistakes at the back and they're not, they will go through. And so,
he said it himself. He said it's decided in both boxes. Now, I agree with what you're saying in that, ultimately the fine margins, all of that kind of stuff, we need to take our advantage. I have more faith in our defense. I don't think we can keep a clean sheet up for 180 minutes. I don't know if we're going to score goals. I'd be a lot more confident with the Havertz's and the Sakas being fit and etc. Before I ask you about Saka though, what do you make of this? Because I think Brand Tales is saying something good. Like you alluded to the Bayern Munich game. Do you feel like we've probably potentially learned our lessons from last year? And I would also say not just the players, but also the gaffer, Mikel Arteta.
I would love to think so, but
inshallah,
we'll know. We'll know because we're now in the stage where we're playing up against a really, really good side. No offense to PSV, but they just weren't really anything for us to like, you know what I mean? Like they were whatever. So we'll know whether or not we learn our lessons. But, I just, in something like this, you just hope that we have the moments. And maybe because we've been out of the competition for so long and we just got back in kind of like last season. I don't know. When I watch these games, most of the time against the better teams like Liverpool and PSG, when they went up against each other the other day, Atletico and Madrid yesterday, those games came down to moments. They just did. And even though Atleti didn't go through, they had so many moments defensively where their players just made the slide tackle or cleared it off the line or
their defensive team and they went and scored within the first minute.
Yeah, they scored in the first minute. There was times where even like Rudiger saved them. We're not a moments team. We are a team that's like more geared towards like we kind of, chug along in our little routine. The Champions
Some say we're more of a cup team though.
The Champions League comes down to moments, and we're not a moment side. We are very much so built around our patterns and our system and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's why we struggle in cup competitions because we can't move away from that and create the moments that we need to. The only players that I know of that consistently come up with big moments is Raya with his saves, Gabriel, like, you know, those clearances that just come from him just being like, fuck it. I don't want the ball to go in the back of the net. And Declan Rice. I feel like they have the moments, but when we start getting further up, ain't no moments, you know. So, and that's all it is. It's just moments. So, you know, there's systems and stuff, but I just see moments.
No, you're not lying. Like, everyone's got tactics, and I think there's plenty to say about potentially Mikel Arteta, kind of what you're saying, learning his lessons from last season versus someone like Carlo. Obviously, we've got injuries, which we'll get onto, but their players are not only good, able to take their moments, they've got the mentality. This one thing waffling about Bellingham and Mbappe and this one and that one. They got Vasquez, they got Diaz. They know how to do the dark arts thing like us. Their mentality monsters. I do think we need to walk out of the tie at the Emirates and go to the Bernabeu with a fighting chance. But then again, like, I would, if you offered me a 2-0 victory, obviously at the Emirates, I would have accepted it against Real Madrid. But then I look at the tie at the Bernabeu and I think to myself, if we can see a first goal, like, and it's 2-1 and you got the refs on their side, the fans are doing what they're doing, how are we going to react? And if everybody was fit, I would still feel the same way. But I'm not going to lie, I do need, well, he's not going to be there, but Kai Havertz against Rudiger, I don't need to say anything about Bukayo Saka and the rest of them. And even Gabriel Jesus, like, to go there with potentially Merino, a young Wanyeri and Lewis Skelly, who are talented but very young, midfield. And obviously, this is all assuming that the players that we know at this moment in time that are fit on the 13th of March, they might get injured. Would you rush Saka back?
No. Let him.
What if he's passed off fit? You wouldn't rush him back?
He has to be past fit and, like, actually ready. People have to remember too, like, he's been out for long enough, you know, so he's going to need some time to get up to full speed. So I'm just not quite sure if I would risk him for next season for a tie that is very unlikely that we go through.
Seems like your dog disagrees, man, saying bring Saka back still.
They're just, you know, you guys are really getting on my nerves today. So it's been from minute one, they've been out of control, you know. But yeah, it's just one of those things where I'm not quite sure that I would rush him back, but, you know, maybe the club feel like he'll be fine, and I'm sure he'll want to play. And one thing I know for sure is if I saw him out there against Real Madrid at the Bernabeu, I would feel like we have a much, much better chance. So I will say that for sure.
If we played them right now, like today, what's your starting 11?
All the same, like the back line, our best back line, which includes Miles Skelly. Sorry, Kala, you need to sit out. Rice, Partey, Ødegaard, and
the prodigal son returns home to the Bernabeu, and Ødegaard as well.
The less we say about that, the better. That becomes,
you know, Zinchenko might take his place. He actually shoots, like you saw yesterday.
Yeah, well, I mean, Ødegaard did get man of the match the last round against PSV too, so it's an everybody eats, and Zinchenko ate, you know. So yeah, I think just go with that. And then the front line is just where, you know, you just have to go with what you got. I think you got to go with
your front three. We want specifics. We want names.
Merino, Wanyeri, and Trossard.
You're gonna go with Merino up front against Madrid. Big Real Madrid.
What other option do we have?
Martinelli through the middle. Fuck it.
It's just that's a figment of our imagination. It's not like a real option.
No, I asked you, but that's what we know. We're not managers, but I asked for your 11. You're the manager. Jess is the first woman to manage Arsenal. What's your
I probably still wouldn't do it. I know that once you're not playing well enough, then it's like, well, why can't we just play him somewhere else?
But what's Merino bringing to the table that Martinelli couldn't? And I'm not here, you know, I'm a big fan of Martinelli, but I'm not here to gas him up and sing his praises. I'm genuinely like, why would you go with Mikel Merino?
Well, we don't technically really play a game that's particularly direct. We don't play the ball in behind, and we definitely don't play the ball in behind for the striker. And so the way that we're set up is everything is in front of the back line. And so Martinelli is not going to help us be like an additional midfielder, get the ball and help us shovel the ball around into our wingers. He's not going to be able to do that. In order for Martinelli to play center forward and to be successful for Arsenal, one, you need to feed him. We don't feed our striker. That's not how we play. And also, we just don't play in behind. And if Martinelli is not running in behind with little to think about, he's not going to. Merino, 9 times out of 10, when he receives the ball at center forward, is in a crowd scene. Martinelli in a crowd scene is a no-go for me. You know, so for me, it's just go with the Merino. Can you guys stop?
You don't think with Merino, like, probably not likely, and you're all right, it doesn't matter who plays up front, we're going to do that indirect false 9 thing, but you don't think with their centre halves, Merino's likely to drop into midfield? You spoke about a high line. You don't think they're going to come further forward? At least, this is why I want Havertz. At least with the theory of Martinelli, it keeps Rudiger and Cole honest because they don't want to get in a foot race.
Yeah, I mean, potentially. Maybe it's because I just don't think Martinelli is playing well enough to just screw up all the plans and go with this figment of. But yeah, 5 years ago,
so Merino is.
He was great. It was years ago. Just go.
So Merino is.
Yeah, just go with Merino. Fuck it, and then go with the guys that you got.
No, but Merino's okay. I agree with you, but being devil's advocate, Merino is playing that well that it's not a genuine option to play Martinelli or even Trossard through the middle ahead of Mikel Merino.
Merino at least gives you height. He can at least go for the ball. Like Rudiger is going to eat them up anyway, you know. So I don't know. I get what you're trying to do, but let's just be real. There's no evidence around Martinelli being this great striker for us at the Bernabeu. You know?
So how's the evidence of Mikel Merino being devil's advocate being this great striker at the Bernabeu?
Well, because we know what we're going to get. The thing is with Arsenal, it's always about what we think could happen if we use our imagination and squint real hard and go back in time and all this kind of stuff. The reality is, at least you know what you're going to get with Merino. You kind of don't.
But if we had this conversation in December, I don't think you're saying Merino up front.
We have new evidence. Again, what we know. We know Martinelli is having a really bad season again, and there's no reason to. At least Merino has scored a goal at center forward recently for Arsenal. So.
No, for what it's worth, I agree with you. I think generally, I do think Martinelli in his life could play up front. I think at this moment, I think in general, he's not ready to play up front. I don't think he doesn't know when to play short. He's back to goal, all that kind of stuff. But in light of where we face ourselves at this moment in time, I don't need to tell you, like we're genuinely Mikel Merino, Martinelli, even Calafiori. These are genuine options up front because of where we're at, right? I am not against it. Like I just need a bit of pace, whether it's Martinelli through the middle, Ethan on the right, assuming Saka's not there, or even Trossard. The only one that can't be involved is Sterling. I really want to see something different. Honestly, I'd love to see a back three. I did ask you, it's not going to happen. I did ask you about your strongest 11. I'll go with mine today, in which it'll be fun to whenever the game is. Hopefully, it falls on like just before when we're about to do a show, so we could do something around that. But at this moment in time, I agree with you. I mean, it's not even that I agree with you. It's like anyone that cares about Arsenal is going to have Raya in goal. Like Raya in goal, Saliba, Gabriel. I must admit, big up Lewis Skelly, but if you put a gun to my head, Timber, you're going to have to do me a favour at left back, you know. Benjamin White, you're going to have to come in. Ødegaard, obviously Ødegaard, Partey, and I'm forgetting his name now.
Wait, why would you do that? Why would you put Ben on the right and Timber on the left when you know that Ben White is a worse defender significantly than Timber, 1v1, and so you're going to put Ben White against Vinny Jr.? That's what you're going to do?
Lewis Skelly, Ben White are all going to struggle. The only one I have sense in, and he's probably going to, like, there's nothing wrong with someone taking you on, is probably Timber, right? If Tomiyasu was fit, he'd go left back for me, just because I need that one game.
Why are you moving Timber to the left when Vinny Jr.
Because he can't go 1v1 than Lewis Skelly and Calafiori, because he can invert. I don't really want to kill him on the right, but I believe in his defensive capabilities, and he's sensible enough to do it.
Who is he stopping? Because again,
who is anybody stopping? Which one of our fullbacks can you say is keeping anyone quiet?
Want Timber.
Lewis Skelly's going to get ripped. Calafiori's going to get ripped. White's going to get ripped. Timber's going to get ripped. I got the most faith in Timber.
Because I don't understand why you're moving Timber to the other side when we know Vinny Jr. is going to be on the side that.
Because I want my two strongest fullbacks.
That doesn't make sense. Timber
how doesn't it make sense?
Is the only thing that makes
sense. Are we
sense.
Forgetting how many big games Timber's played left back? How does that make sense? Vinny Jr. is not the only one.
Because you're just moving Timber for the sake of it. You're
I'm not
literally
moving Timber for the sake of it. I
Timber.
know Lewis Kelly's a young player and he's going to switch off like I actually saw against
Vinny
PSV.
Jr. unprovoked makes no sense. Just leave Timber where he is and just leave Miles Lewis-Skelly on the other side.
Lewis Kelly has my faith, but like I'm putting Timber left back. I am sorry, I'm putting Timber left back. I want you on the left hand side. That brings Benjamin White in. As I said, you put a gun to my head. You're the two strongest
Ben White with no
defenders.
fitness and historically gets cooked by any decent winger, and you'd rather move Timber, the only person that can shut down Vinny Jr. or at least give him a.
How do you know if I do that? How do you know he's going to keep Timber quiet? I mean, Timber's going to keep him quiet. How do you know that?
He is our best option to do it.
I didn't disagree.
In fact,
I want my two strongest fullbacks. There's no evidence Lewis Kelly's keeping anyone quiet or Calafiori. I think we both agree Calafiori's
in terms of matchups. If you ask anybody, you're gonna say who's the one person that's gonna hurt you 1v1 and on the wing.
Have you seen their front three? It doesn't matter. You're playing with Rigo and Mbappe and Vinicius. You know that, right? And you've got Vasquez or Valverde inverting, and you've got the runs of Bellingham.
It matters.
We know what's going to happen. White's going to become a back three. I hear what you're saying about the fitness, bearing in mind he played yesterday, but I actually would go with Timber. I would go with Timber at left back. White has my full strength. Both of them are my two strongest options. I've got all the faith in the world in Lewis Kelly. More than forget his ability is his temperament. Was that phone?
Yeah, sorry.
That scared me. Yeah, way before anything, when it comes to anything, Timber, I think Lewis Kelly's got one of the best mentalities in this squad. I don't think he will be quote unquote overruled with the burnabout, even though I think there's a degree of that for our whole squad because the vast majority, I know there's bare players that are experienced in Europe, but the vast majority of them are virgins in it. They're learning on the job. They got 1 year's experience against Bayern. I'm just going with Timber. I think Timber can show me enough on the left. I don't really want to kill the right hand side that Timber provides, but I have to go with White. You know what? Do you want to bet? Do you want to bet me that we see Timber left back, Benjamin White? I'm so confident we're going to see that.
You're guessing what Arteta's going to do.
I'm not guessing. I purely said off my own back. I just think that's what he's going to go with.
You are. We've switched from what you want to do to.
That is what I want to do. But now I'm saying, do you want to bet what he goes to?
Hold on. Even if Arteta does that, that doesn't mean that it's right. So
I didn't say it's right because he could play. He could do what you're doing, saying, and it could be wrong. He could do what I'm doing, and it could say it be wrong. That's my whole point. We're fucked either way. I'm just going with my two strongest players.
But you saying that now, we're fucked either way. But then you were on me about Merino versus.
I'm not on you.
Something different.
I'm not on you.
No, we're not.
I'm not on you. It's fucked either way. I'm just saying, do you want to bet me that we see that?
Not really, because I don't.
Put your money where your mouth is, just.
Because what does it matter?
Hey, Beckham, can you hear me? Beckham.
What does it matter? What does it matter if Mikel chooses that?
I just want to know. Like, I just want to bet you're going to see that.
I don't understand. Well, I don't understand the thought process at all of moving your best 1v1 defender away from the best 1v1 dribbler
to get my other guy in. To get my other guy in. And you're talking a lot about Vinny Jr. Did you see him yesterday?
To get my other guy
in. The play was coming down the right, you know. Atletico's left.
To get your other guy in, who, again, we're not just talking about Ben White, the player that we love. We're talking about historically.
I don't care about loving Ben White. I want my two experienced and strongest fullbacks in the team.
Well, with good 1v1 dribbling wingers. That's what I'm saying. And he also is not up to fitness. So, hey.
You know we got a month.
You want to do that?
You know we got a month.
This is somebody that
we got a month into that game.
Always gets a yellow card against Rashford. Ben
White, all these guys are going to get booked
at the Bernabeu. Gets that.
All of these dons are going to get booked. Timber is very lucky he didn't get booked yesterday, or he wouldn't even be playing. All of them are going to get booked. All of them are going to be ripped. I'm just saying, I'm going with the two players that I would trust the most within that context, with the greatest of respect to Lewis Kelly, because equally, I would not care if it's Lewis Kelly and Timber in it. Like, that is a good option. I think the one thing me and you agree with is that, yeah, we're definitely not trying to see Zinchenko left back, and we're definitely not trying to see Calafiori. I'm just going with them. If Tomiyasu was fit, which he's not, I'm going Timber at right back. Tommy's going to the left. I need somebody to do a job there. If you watch the Madrid derby yesterday, Vinny was quiet. It's actually and a big reason as to why I want Ben White in that squad. What's the one link-up play from from Real Madrid that is actually the most harmful? That Atletico actually did well, and the one time they didn't, it led to a penalty. What's the one link-up? It's Bellingham and Mbappe. What side did they start that move yesterday on? Or what side do you see in La Liga?
Mhm.
I'm happy both of us are not Mikel Arteta, because you imagine this, because they're probably having the same conversations. Moving away
Yeah.
from that, though,
That
should we
first
be a bit
time,
more optimistic,
all,
Jess?
all I'm gonna say, that first time that Ben White gets cooked, I'm not trying to hear it.
Bro, you can get cooked. Everyone's going to get cooked. It's Real Madrid. Win the war. Don't lose the battle. Man, get past you. They get past you. They got Vinicius, Mbappe, Brahim Diaz. The list goes on. And to be fair, whether it's what you said in Lewis Skelly and Timber, or what I said, or I'm not, again, for what it's worth, I'm actually with you with the Lewis Skelly and Timber thing. You're going to see subs. They're going to bring on Diaz. These men are going to get ripped. We have to lose the battles, just win the war. And I think, do you know what the maddest thing is? Me and you said our defense is probably where we're the strongest, and this is where we've made the debate, yeah. But it's our attack that's going to let us down. But me and you be a bit more optimistic? Looking on screen, 10 games, 7 wins, 1 defeat, 25 goals scored, 6 conceded in the champs. Should we be a bit more optimistic? Is this a welcome distraction from the failure of the Prem?
No, not really. It's the same thing that it always is. We're always looking at runs and these weird stats that they bring up, but we watched the game against Porto, both legs. We watched both legs against Bayern. We know what we're like. We even Sporting in the Europa League, Olympiacos. This is a historical problem with Mikel Arteta's teams, that when they get in the games that actually matter, outside of like the group stages and all that kind of stuff, they literally just don't have anything. They don't have it, So from my perspective, none of this really means anything. We're coming up against the best team in the world. And if we don't perform and we play scared, we're going to get cooked. There's just no way.
You know what? Yeah, we're actually big up Jamaica Gouda. Yeah, me and you have actually done Kieran Tierney a disservice. Whether we believe Mikel Arteta is going to play him or not, you was fighting the case of Lewis Skelly left back. I was fighting the case of Timber. What about Tierney and Timber?
Well,
forget the inverted crap for a game.
I'm down for keeping Timber on Vinny Jr.'s side. So whatever.
No, I'm talking about
whatever
Tierney.
that is,
Like,
then that's
Tierney an
fine.
option on the left.
I mean, he'd probably. I don't know if he's at this stage. You could probably make an argument that he's a better defender than Calafiori 1v1. So if that means anything to you, I mean, he puts in good crosses, and you don't have to do the inversion. Will we even get an opportunity to take advantage of inversion? Is that even something that we want to do? I still think I'm going Miles Lewis Skelly. If you're good enough, you're old enough. If you're good enough, you're old enough.
Do you know what the funny thing is?
What?
We both, you know what? I think Partey's going to play right back. I think Arteta is going to he has to try something, to be fair, but I think he's going to do something a bit mad. What else have I got? I mean, we did create history, we did have a teenage Cesc Fabregas, RIP Reyes, Belarus's very own Hileb, and the GOAT TT. Maybe we could do it. Maybe history's there to be made, man. History's there to be made. What do you make of the route to the final anyways? Because surely if we beat Real Madrid, we can start, maybe not dream, but it becomes a bit feasible.
I mean, you got to take it one game at a time, right? I mean,
you're normally a lot more optimistic than me, Jess. Damn.
Well, you just have to take it one game at a time. It's like you're looking too far ahead. Even if you were to get past Real Madrid, I don't think I would feel like the last team, I guess, you want to go up against in the semifinal is Villa. You just don't want to go up against a team with some sort of narrative against you, a team that traditionally beats you.
Emre versus Arteta.
Yeah, that's just not something that I would want. In fact, when you go into Champions League, you just don't want to have to play against people in your league. The whole point of doing, a European competition is play against other fucking teams. So I guess if we were to get past them, I'd love to go back up against PSG. They're much different than they were when we played them. This is not the same team, so it wouldn't be the same matchup. But again, you want to go up against teams that back themselves to attack you so that you don't have to do the sit-in and do the mid-block. And they would back themselves a little bit. They didn't sit in against Liverpool. They did say that they thought that we're a better team than Liverpool. So take that into consideration. But yeah, I would think going up against PSG would be great. I would hate to go up against Emery in the semifinal. It just feels like a certain narrativing. And then once you get beyond that, I'd take anybody on that other side except for Bayern, I think. I think Bayern, just for some reason, it's just like our mentality is just so shit against them.
So you want to buck Barcelona with Yalmao and inform Rafinha and the pressing of Hansi Flick?
I'd rather that than Bayern.
Nah, I disagree, man. I'm on Bayern. I know what you're saying, and I agree. There's a bit of a mental block, but I think of the teams on this side, respectfully to Dortmund, big them up. I hope Arsenal get to the final when we play Dortmund, and that would be great. I think Barcelona, I can't say they're dark horses, but I do think when, not necessarily you or myself, but when there's this talk around who's winning champs, Real Madrid are going to get their flowers. People are starting to give Enrique a bit of credit because we're seeing what they're on. I think people are downplaying Barcelona, you know. Rafinha's in form, Yamal's in form. They press relentlessly. It's like they take the tiki-taka with the modern day high pressing. I don't want to play Barca. Inter, I don't think we score. I think we could compete, but like we saw in the league stage, I think we struggle. I fancy we're still gonna get bought by Bayern, but I find, out of respectfully to Dortmund, out of the Madrids, the PSGs, the Inters, the Bayerns, I fancy Vincent Kompany's men, you know. Pause, because I could never fancy, man.
First, people. There's somebody in the comments saying, "I'm not watching Barcelona this season. It's my job to watch Barcelona. It's my job to watch La Liga. I know how they're.
Don't get rattled by the comments, man.
All I'm saying is that I'm not thinking about it. It's the same reason why I picked Real Madrid over Atleti. It's not that I'm like unaware that one team is better than the other. I'm thinking about the matchup. I don't like what our mentality looks like against a Bayern side. There's something about that team. We played against one of the worst versions last season, and we could not even muster anything.
Maybe that's a learning curve.
Allianz Arena. So that's all I'm saying. I don't want Bayern. There's too much history. There's too much narrative. There's too much that. Barcelona are the better side, guys. I'm not unaware that Barcelona are playing good. So that's just, I think about the matchup and the narrative. Because ultimately, if you look at the other side and you ask yourself, would you rather play PSG or Aston Villa? You'd rather play Aston Villa. But I also said no. Because why? The narrative, the fact that we don't match up well against them. So it's not about not understanding who's better than who. Like, the narrative matters to me.
Smash the like button, folks. Look at the content we're providing you lot with. I don't know, man. If I had to rank them, I mean, nobody wants to play Real Madrid, but it is what it is. After Real Madrid, I'd say Barcelona for me. It's a toss-up between Paris Saint-Germain and Inter. We did beat PSG. We got done dirty by the penalty. I'd rather play Paris Saint-Germain. I know they're a different team. I'd rather play them because it feels like they Arteta and Enrique are a bit similar still.
Yeah. I mean,
Inter, we can't break down low blocks. Forget it.
Yeah, you don't want to play against Inter. Too much narrative around Bayern. You know, Barca would be the hardest team to play out of the teams left over outside of the light button.
You lot taking the piss, but go on, Jess.
But at the very least, what I don't like coming up, this team is not good against teams that are well set up defensively. Barca play one of the highest line in Europe, the highest line. So we could not have possession, let them possess, and we're so much better when we don't have the ball.
With Merino up front, on the counter.
That's all I'm thinking. Then you can do your Martinelli, whatever you want to do with that, you know? So yeah, that's all I'm thinking about is the matchup. I don't like our odds against Bayern.
No, nobody's sleeping on Dortmund. They're hearing it. Even Arsenal. I don't think we're getting to that final, but everybody's here for a reason. There's not Villa, Arsenal, Dortmund, clearly the underdogs, but nobody's sleeping on anyone. You never know, upsets are there to happen. I actually feel, me personally, I actually think it's going to be PSG versus Barcelona in the final, potentially after that an El Clasico final. For what it's worth, though, like, obviously we hope Arsenal in the final. Whether it happens is another thing. What do you think the final will be?
Well, I would do anything for it to not be a Clasico.
Damn, why?
I just don't want it to be a Clasico. I want to see teams from different leagues playing up against each other. We saw what Leverkusen and Bayern looked like. That was shit. You know,
that was stinky.
Nobody wants to see that shit. So yeah, I think PSG, like, now I'm thinking about the story, and like PSG against like Barcelona, and then Dembele walking away with the Champions League after all that he's been through,
and Enrique as well. He's the son of Barca.
Yeah, their first ever Champions League feels like the best story to go down, you know, so I would, and that's probably the best final, especially because what did they play, like a semifinal against each other a year ago or something like that, and it was like a bananas thing. And you know, both teams are going to be open, all the attacking talent on display. I think that's what we want to see. That's what I would want to see if Arsenal do not make it to the final. But I don't want a Classico. I really, really don't. We've seen Dortmund in the final last season. I don't really want to see them in the final
Should have
again.
killed it in the first half.
And Villa is probably the last team I'd want to see in the final because God forbid they nick it. So, yeah.
You know what? It's mad, yeah, but the Spanish teams have the best chance. I'd say the Spanish team's got the best chance.
Yeah.
Then it's I think Inter over Bayern personally, and then it's a toss-up between the rest in it, really, if I'm honest with you. It'd be
Inter's
interesting.
a very good side. Like, Inter's really, really good. They're just not going to be fun to watch. So from a neutral's perspective, you want Inter to stop where they are right now. But but you also, it would be fun to see them knock out Bayern because I can't stand them, so but Inter going further.
They got black manager and company. I slightly want them to do well.
Yeah.
There's not many of us.
That blockhead, he told us about Sambi Lakanga as far as I
Oh, yeah, you're right. Now, forget what I said, Jess. You're bang on the money. You lied to us about Yaya Toure. Fuck Bayern. They need to go. They need to go. But good point.
You don't want Inter in the final because they're boring. It's like, yeah. So, yeah, I think that's what I go with. PSG Barcelona is the best final, but that's not what we're going to get. If that's what we want, like somebody said, there's going to be some upsets. So we'll see. We'll see.
Let's hope it involves us. Let's hope it involves us. Like,
yeah,
it'll be very, very, very interesting. Like, would you build Mikel Arteta a statue if he won the Champions League?
I think you asked me this last week, and I said,
and that's why I'm asking again because
I'm
going to ask this every stream until we're out the champs.
Nah. No, I don't think so.
How would you know? Bro, it's Champions League. Like, I know it's cringy, but it's Champions League.
We'll see. Let them get there first. Let them get there first.
But if a set piece coach can score a couple of goals from corners, Arteta can get that, man. But that's only that. Like, if we won the championship, do you think like the sins of the league and everything we've been through are kind of washed?
Yeah, because he will have done what he was meant to do, which was win a major trophy. Like, I think that's the worst thing about this whole with Mikel is that I think there are a lot of people that just they wouldn't even be happy if we won the Champions League because they want him to be bad so bad, where it would give me relief because that would mean that everything that we did was right, that we made all those really risky choices and sticking with Mikel and all that kind of stuff made sense. And so if in 5 seasons, maybe, because then the context around missing out on the Premier League a couple of times, finishing second, all of that changes if you win a Champions League. Then it's like all that led up to this moment and you won the one thing that we never won. So I would never hate on Mikel. And I would say that, yeah, you get to stay and you get to, because that's proof of concept. It's the hardest thing to win. It's the biggest competition in professional football, so for me, it's just, I don't understand why anybody would think anything other than it worked and this makes sense. And the process has processed exactly because you won the major trophy. That's what you were trying to do, so yeah, I would give him his flowers, but man, and another thing is that I know that we got on the wrong side of the draw and we're going up against the best team in the world, but the 3 English sides that most recently won the Champions League all had to beat Real Madrid to get there, whether that was earlier on or in the final.
They don't think the stars are aligning, Jess. I didn't even know that.
My point is that you're not going to get away with just getting on the easy side. You're going to have to go
100%.
through hard teams. So we're going to have to work for it. I just wish that maybe we had just a little bit more going on up front. That would just make it so much better. But we have what we have. What can
for me personally, I slightly disagree. I don't think it, I don't, for me anyways, I don't think it would erase or it make irrelevant what you did in the league. I do think it saved face. I do think, and I agree with that point, it does quote unquote the processed as again, it would have been history. It gives them, it does change the narrative. And I do think it kind of rights the wrongs. and
Yeah.
whatnot. And you never know, winning the champs, it might tempt players to sign for us. But it's mad to say, but I think it saves face, if I'm completely honest with you, because the way I think it's going to go, unfortunately, you know yourself, I do think a lot of Arsenal fans lack balance and context in the right ways. They will hyper analyze, like a Liverpool, for example, and be quite lazy because it's kind of like copium and hopium. But I do kind of feel like if we did win it, it would be good. I think the way the season is going to pan out, we all know that we've shot ourselves in the foot. It would say, and this will be annoying for me, in that we're in the quarterfinals. We played Real Madrid. Fair enough. In isolation, it's Real Madrid, innit? We went to the semi-finals in the League Cup. I personally feel we should be playing in a cup final on Sunday, but it is what it is. They will harp on about injuries, despite the fact that it's fucking 15 points off Liverpool. So injuries only go so far. So I do think that, and then United, we all know we should have won that, but they'll say it's Man United, it's penalties, it's the luck of the draw. So I would like, beyond anything, I want to win the Champions League for Arsenal Football Club, and you're the same, but it would kind of save face because there's a hella pressure on Mikel Arteta. But we'll circle back on Mikel Arteta in a minute. Before I carry on, though, big up BG, one of the mods. I started the stream late. Did you discuss the Alvarez pen controversy? For me, it is it was a right decision. It's hit both his feet.
It's not controversial. It's not.
Hit both feet.
Yeah, the rule is the rule. Like it's literally the rule. Like, and it literally happened. So, as heartbreaking as it is, and as like harsh of a reality to lose that way it is for Atletico, and how hard they worked over the two legs. They weren't robbed of anything. It wasn't any sort of voodoo or anything. So I'm not really understanding what the controversy is, except for when in the moment where people did not see the right angle that showed it. That first angle that they showed, you couldn't really see it. So it felt like the powers that be in the black magic was taking over. But once you see the actual angle, it's not a controversy at all. It's really unfortunate. I feel bad for him because it's like he just slipped. But that's how the cookie crumbles, just it didn't go their way, and it sucks. I know that they're probably just distraught over it, but yeah, you don't want to go out that way, I think.
I know, it is what it is. I think Jess is right. End of the day, rules are rules. As harsh as it is, it doesn't mean it's not, brother. It hit both feet. I don't think you should be allowed to retake it, because if you retake it and bag and Real Madrid go out, then where do you look at all of this? I do think it's quite, and I don't want to jinx us against Real Madrid, but I do think it's quite ironic that Real Madrid, listen, I love Real Madrid. They're the pinnacle, but they cry about referees almost on par with Arsenal. And I think Courtois' comments were quite crazy, and that, other people are crying, but rules are rules. It might not be clear and obvious, and I've never seen VAR in a penalty shootout, but at the end of the day, as much as I'm quick to criticize refs, that's what VAR is there for, to pick up on that. And to be fair, a lot of those players, especially Mbappe, if you go and watch the game again, like Mbappe's getting his two from the jump. The only shameless one is Rodrigo, because he said, I didn't see it, but the man was saying, yeah, it was. So I'm going to run with it. So, yeah, man, you ain't got
And something about that game as well is I thought throughout the game, there's a big lack of quality. But I think that's just because the pressure was up and they're playing against like their rivals. But historically, like Real Madrid don't always play that great. They just get it over the line. So it was just like a very strange tie where it was like there wasn't a lot of quality, but I think just in the back of my mind, I always felt like Real Madrid was going to go through, because they just always do.
They always find a way.
Yeah, even if they don't play well, if that makes sense. Like they don't they're not trying to play pretty patterns and shit. They're just trying to get in the back of the net.
Just trying to win the damn trophy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
I mean, Jess, this has been a great conversation, but like I've been waiting for this. Raheem Sterling, man of the match performance, should have scored, but got 2 assists. He said, I'm still faithful that I've got a big part to play. You can only control what you can control. I've not had as many minutes as I would have liked. It's down to myself to keep knocking at the door. Now, we know he can't play against Chelsea, but could he go on a purple patch? Has he finally arrived? Are you ready to apologize to Raheem Gaza Man Sterling? I told you to believe in him. He's here now.
I mean, listen, if y'all like it, I love it. If this is what y'all need to to feel like you've rediscovered a player, then fair enough. And I know that if you're, from the UK and you're Jamaican, you want this guy to do well. I fucking get it. But my group chat was cussing him. My group chat was cussing him, y'all.
So was I in mine, but I'll leave that.
We watch with our eyes. We eat with our eyes. I'm sorry. He got the assist and they were good.
Eat with your eyes. That's an American thing.
Yeah, like you eat with your eyes first. When you're looking at a meal, if it looks
Oh, I
nasty,
get you. I was about to say that one. That's
yeah.
crazy. Nah, come
Yeah.
on, man. You're being harsh to Sterling. It's a big Champions League night. You can
Listen,
only play what's in front of you. It's a knockout stage.
Champions League day after. Okay, fair enough. Listen, we have nothing, and he's gonna play some minutes. So if this is what he needs to kind of get going, then fair enough. It was better than what we have seen from him. The weird thing with Sterling is he had 2 moments where he like stalled out. I don't know if he glitched or what, but the ball was like bouncing next to him and he was like unaware. I don't know if the old mist is coming over or what, or he's just older.
I think it was a unique skill set from him, man. In my 29 years, I obviously I've seen Thierry Henry and all of those kind of players. I think Sterling's a bracket below. He's truly got unique qualities that no one in this Arsenal team has. Like it's a pleasure to have him. I have to credit Arteta and Edu for getting this one over the line in the summer market.
Exactly. Yeah. So,
I'm shameless, and I mean, look at it. Most goal involvements
for doing this, but this is the thing: is
man said he's disliking David.
Sterling, when you like, I look at this and I'm like, this is why it's more sad. I feel like as much as an Arsenal fan, I'm like upset that he's here. It's more sad because when you remove yourself from like the Arsenal part of it, this is a player that I feel like for the most part doesn't get anywhere near as much credit as he should for being such a good footballer for so long
and handling adversity.
Yeah, and it's I feel like it's tough when you're probably hitting that stage in your career where you still feel like you have more to go, but maybe your body's slowing down, maybe you're not as good as you thought you were, I think this is a realization thing for Raheem Sterling this season. So it is sad and I feel bad for him. The problem is that this version of Raheem Sterling coincided with a season where we really need somebody to come in and lift us up, and he hasn't been able to do that. So it's hard. It really, really is. But I like him. I want him to do well. I'm not sure that I think
now
that
you like him.
Like the best performance that it was shaky, but the assists were good. And if this is like the same thing with Gabriel Jesus, felt very similar when right before he went to his.
I've only seen Saka cross the ball in this Arsenal team. Like that assist he got for Rice's. I think only Saka's got that.
Yeah, I mean, I just with what we have, even with Sterling, even if we all know that it was the wrong decision to make, we're probably going to need this guy to show up for us from now until the end of the season. So
big ox.
Any little bit of positivity we can get, we have to hopefully capitalize on it. But that doesn't mean that this is a great signing or anything like that. But that's separate from he's all we got. That's it.
You got to argue his minutes to goal ratio probably better than a lot of players in our team. Like you can only play what's in front of you. And you look at the goal involvements in the Champions League, he joins an illustrious list of David Beckham, Harry Kane, Wayne Rooney, and Frank Lampard. Like form is temporary, class is permanent. I wouldn't be surprised if we tried to keep him permanently, especially if Trossard moves on. But yeah, let me stop being shameless. We earned 102 million from the Champions League so far, people. I want to move this on as we close this up, people. And don't forget, we will be going to Jesse's stream. I know you've seen this. I know we're going to speak about it on your platform. Allegedly, Andrea Berta has a significant transfer shortlist for Arsenal, which includes Martin Zubimendi, Nico Williams, Joan Garcia, and Bruno Guimaraes. What do you make of that? Do we need Bruno Guimaraes and Zubimendi? Is that feasible? Or is it nonsense?
His track record of getting clubs to spend money, if you look at it, it's kind of wild. I don't know what kind of what he's got, but he gets people to spend the change. So, I think, will we get a massive summer? We don't know because we know how
we're hearing 300 million as well. Like Ben Jacobs, David Ornstein saying unprecedented. We're hearing 300 million.
Like we need a big summer because we've gone through multiple summers without doing what we need to do. So now things are backed up. Now where you should already have the striker and the winger, now you have to replace Jorginho and Partey. So, I want a midfield overhaul. Most people know how I feel about Bruno G. The lore is deep. I wanted him when he was in Brazil. I wanted him when he was in Lyon. I wanted him when he was at Newcastle. If we're going to continue to play this way, which we are, sorry guys, we're going to continue to play this way where we have.
This ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, we're not going to play two attacking midfielders in a DM. That's not Arteta's, that's not his vibe. That's not his jam. So if the left center mid needs to be a little bit more well-rounded, he's the perfect player for that. He was the perfect player to replace Granit Xhaka. I stand 10 toes down on it. That's
100.
who we should have gotten because he's better than him, but he has just more to his game, but he also adds the things that Xhaka gave us. So I'm down for this if we could get it over the line. I know that there's a lot of Arsenal fans that are soft. They don't want him because he elbowed Georgie in the head. I'm so sorry. He's
We'll
the
get
type
sent
of
off
player.
every week for our club, but I'm on it.
Yeah, if he's your player, you love him. If he's not your player, you hate him. You know,
Exactly.
that's the truth, you know? So if Berta would impress me so much if he could get a deal like this over the line, because I know Edu could never. He doesn't have the juice. He doesn't have the risk. He doesn't have anything. He can't go to Bruno and talk him, you know, into coming and then be able to execute the deal. You know, if he's available at 60 million, I don't care what happens with Zubimendi, you get this done because this completes that midfield that we're going to have. He is a better option for us than Zubimendi. He's a better option.
I don't believe it though, Jess, man. I don't think we're getting him or Isaac, but go on.
With Zubimendi, like, do we need Bruno Guimaraes and Zubimendi? I don't know if we like need that or if it'll be like, but I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I want a
Surely we need two midfielders anyways.
Yeah, we've needed to zhuzh that area up. So if it's like, why do we always have to only have one player that can play in that position? I don't really understand it. If your core group of midfielders is Ødegaard, Bruno G, Zubimendi, and Declan Rice.
Don't forget Kai Havertz. You know you're seeing him in midfield a lot next season. You know you're seeing him in midfield. Jesse, you're seeing him in midfield.
Why?
We signed a stretch because Arteta's bought him. Like, he's going to have to use him. We're going to see Kai Havertz in midfield. Maybe not on a frequent basis, but 100% we're seeing him in that 8. Arteta's not done with that experiment. I promise everyone. I'll delete my YouTube channel if we don't see him in midfield. It's the only thing that makes sense.
Boy is saying the right thing, but we're not going to be able to do it. But he's speaking the right thing.
Who?
Boy, 10.
Is that fair to say sell Kai Havertz because he came here where he wasn't given a chance? He scores a lot of goals. Apart from Bukayo Saka, who's probably our second vital attacker.
That says more about our attack than his quality. I'm so 100%.
Sorry. But aren't you being harsh? Surely Martinelli, Trossard, Jesus, everybody apart from Nwaneri and Saka, and even in other positions, surely more people need to go before Kai Havertz. You don't have to like him. You don't even have to love him. But ain't that harsh?
I just don't see a role for him outside of squad player. If we have done what we need to do in the summer, he is buried on the bench. That's just the reality. He's not a starter for Arsenal Football Club when Arsenal are trying to win things. I'm so sorry. And having somebody on that amount of wages in the team just sitting on the bench. Your manager
did that, you know.
Fucking reeks. Like, it just reeks. So, I mean, I personally, I'd be looking to move him elsewhere because I just don't see with a new striker in and 2 new midfielders, if we were to get that done, where he really fits in with those wages. But that's just not how Arsenal are. I think failing fast is right. And Diallo's saying, but he ain't going nowhere. And
yeah, he ain't still. Even if Berta's the best seller since sliced bread.
So it is what it is. But a serious club, I hate to be that person saying a serious club starts moving him on. Not because he's a bad guy or he hasn't scored goals, but he's just not good enough. You know, I'm tired of seeing this. I'm tired of seeing this child. I'm really tired of seeing this child. We're not getting him. We're not getting that child. We're not getting him.
Should we put our pay attentions in Gyökeres then?
Is there a rumor or is it just?
It seems, I mean, a bowler out of Portugal. I don't know if it's the most credible, but Liverpool, City, and Arsenal would be his preferred destination.
I mean, I would take Gyökeres. I just don't think that's gonna happen.
Where are you at with Hikatike?
Isak light.
Free trial, Isak.
Yeah, Isak light. You know, so that goes. If that's if that's what you want, then you want Isak and you'd go for a similar profile. I would like to see some coherency with our targets. By the way, if you want Isak, don't turn around and get somebody that's completely different. Get somebody who's similar, because that shows me that at least we're
there's consistency
in the right direction. Why you got Sane up on the screen?
It says Arsenal are interested in signing Leroy Sané on a free transfer. Hey, I've spent all day trying to find talking points for us, Jess, you know. You don't want Sané? He's worked with Arteta. Premier League winner, Premier League proven.
Daily Sane. What else is out there? Now, what else is available to me? Now, here's the thing with Sane is it's not that I think that he's ass. My whole thing is like
you don't rate him.
He cannot come in at the expense of somebody else coming in that's actually going to be like a young, you know, looking at PSG should really show you that experience is
we should have got Doué.
But if you're good enough, you're old enough. They're out there playing with Barcola and Desire Doué and players like that. Of course, they have Dembele, but I just don't think that we need to overthink it. Just get really talented people, you know, and it'll work out. Zane could come in on a free, but he would just be backfill for whatever. Yeah, and I wouldn't bring him in if we still have Trossard anyway. He would be like a Trossard replacement, to be honest. So, oh God,
it's great that you mentioned it.
Of him. Oh my gosh, that little spit makes me want to throw up, man.
I said this in the stream I did just before. Now it's a horrible picture of him, but yeah, what do you make of Trossard? Because his contract's running down, and apparently Sports Witness is saying Arsenal want to resume contract negotiations with Trossard in the coming weeks after being unable to reach an agreement in recent months. However, with figures from Saudi Arabia in mind, an extension does not seem easy.
So
damn, you have snake Trossard, the Trossard defender.
Yeah, I love him to death. But we need to switch this attack around. And so somebody's got to go.
He can't be on the bench, though, in win now mode, super sub and all that.
He could stay. Right now, I'm feeling like sell Trossard and sell Martinelli and start over. But
I hear it. Do you think Berta, on that, before I ask you about Saliba, do you think Saliba, do you think Berta and Arteta could butt heads this summer?
Oh, absolutely. And they need to. I think when people don't question each other, you should be able to disagree and then agree to disagree and still move forward with the right thing for the club. I think the problem is that like it can't just only go one person's way. And exactly. So I think that they will butt heads, and I think that that's a good thing. And I think Arteta could win some, Berta could win some, but there just needs to be a little bit of like a checks and balances here, you know, and a focus on the things that need to get done. So I want them to butt heads, but not to the point where, you know, somebody's just getting strong-armed and they're feeling like their thoughts and feelings aren't being respected.
Maybe Arteta needs to get strong-armed, and maybe his feelings, this might be the one summer we don't care about your feelings, Kai. Yeah, your feelings like, to Merino and Kai Havertz over 100 million quid.
And to be honest, Berta needs to sit there and say, he's the person that could come in and say, I'm looking at this team and you're missing this and that, and until you get these things, you're not going to do anything like you want to do. And so you're going to need to pull the wallet out. £100 million, you know, summer window is not going to do it. 2 players is not going to do it. Two goalkeepers and a left back is not going to do it. You're going to need to bring in 2 midfielders, 2 attackers. You're going to need to do all this stuff. I'll get you the goalkeeper, but in reality, you need a lot more. That's what I want him to come in there and tell them, because they act like we could just do enough. Like no, you're gonna need to do more, baby.
There's none of this, there's none of this powder dry market opportunity. We tried. Yeah. There's not all this stuff that the fans were falling for. There's it's out the window now. Like this, I don't want to say this, and I'm past this. I've checked out, but it does feel like, and it sounds like a broken record, this is the window where we're gonna see if you're serious. I don't believe that personally, because I think it should have been last summer. But yeah, man. Before we get out of here, a couple of things, because we're going over to your platform. This week, Saliba said, I'm happy here. That's it. I want to win big things with Arsenal. If you leave this club without winning anything, the fans will forget about you. I want to win big things. His contract expires in 2027. He said that while he's happy, there's no rush to renew his deal, bearing in mind he's drawing a lot of admirers.
Yeah, I think Saliba, we have 2 years left with him. If we don't win anything, he'll run his deal down and Real Madrid will get him on a free, and we'll be fucked. You know, so that's how they operate. They're not going to spend what it would take this summer or next summer to get him, which would be a world record fee for a defender, over 100 million or, right around there. So they'll just wait for his deal to run down. I think what would give you solace would be knowing that he's not in a rush to leave this summer. But what would give you pause is that he's not in a rush to re-sign. And so you have him until that contract runs out. I think the writing is on the wall. And I love Saliba, but I just, there's just certain players that are just going to ascend beyond you, especially if you're not.
He's just destined for Real Madrid. It's just
Yeah,
the reality
it
of
is
the life.
what it is. None of this ever rattles me. When we're not playing well, the media recirculates these same things because they want us to feel like the project has ended, it's crumbled, and everybody is leaving. But the
Has
reality,
it ended, though? Surely it has.
I don't know if it's ended, but I think
Because I only asked you that. Sorry to cut you, because obviously we've come into this stage of fighting for a title now, and we failed. But I know we have to do a lot. But we've got a good base. We've established ourselves as huffing and puffing. We'll get into the quarterfinals or whatever for the second time. Has it moved now? Like, has the project done? And is it just we need to win now? That's that. I guess that's what I'm trying to ask.
Yeah, of course we need to win now. There is no progression and all that kind of stuff. When it comes to the Salibas and all that kind of stuff and whether or not the project failed and all that, I just think it's just more I get what, because most projects that we've had multiple projects throughout the years. They just weren't called projects. The beginning of the end was players leaving, and so I think people want those things to happen because then those conversations can resurge again. We literally have Saliba for 2 more seasons. And especially if we don't win anything. So that's just the reality. He's not going to re-sign. And Real Madrid, the way that they do things is so clear. They're either going to get you on the last year or they're going to get you on a free. So
they're probably flirting with him already. Not only is it Real Madrid, it's France. You got a World Cup year next year. Yeah. I do think we're at that stage where players, if I'm honest, not that they're down in tools, but they're probably questioning the project because they've been sold a dream just like us fans. But that's just me.
Yeah, exactly. And I like that Saliba speaks plainly. I like that he said that we just haven't been good enough. We don't deserve to win, and that he wants to win big trophies. I don't really love our players talking too much because I feel like in the past it's not come off well. But I like when they talk with clarity and just speak the facts. And there's a lot of our players that talk around the houses. I think Saliba and Raya and Saka are the only players I can remember that speak very plainly about us needing to win trophies and wanting to win them. Everybody else is kind of we're going to do our best. And
very, very diplomatic. Yeah, the PR thing. Yeah.
It's I don't want to hear that shit. I want to hear I'm trying to win trophies. And to me, Saliba plays like a player that wants to win trophies. Is he perfect all the time? No, but him and Gabriel.
Something he also said as well.
Yeah. Oh, what you said, Gabriel? Wait, what?
No. I think you're right with what you said.
Oh, has carried him this season.
He said that.
Yeah. So it is what it is. The last time I watched Arsenal in person was last season. I know I watched the very first games. I watched this against Fulham. I can't even remember.
I'm not even sure what that.
It's been a while.
Too, but I don't know what that means.
But it was last season. Yeah, it was last.
Whether you're on TV or not, it's irrelevant. Yeah. 3 things to ask you before I get out. I say we get out of it. We're going over to Jess's platform, so we'll continue the Arsenal waffling. Arteta, when asked if this season is a failure, if Arsenal don't win silverware, he said, "We are not there yet. The way I describe failure is different compared to what someone else does." And when they asked him on what his thing is in terms of failure, he said, I know, but you don't. Where are you at with that?
Arteta is he would make an excellent politician when he's done being a manager. He should go on like Shevchenko and go be a politician because he would be perfect at it. Arteta knows how to say a lot without saying anything. He's very, you have to decipher his shit with Morse code. You just have
to go back to May to dispel all of this.
Yeah, honestly, I just think Arteta doesn't want to put out there that we failed or we're going to fail or it has failed or anything like that. I think he wants to keep the veil, in front. It's like last season when we were asking, like, so what are our targets for this season? And they talked around it a lot. Yeah, it is what it is. I don't listen to Mikel's pressers. I haven't listened to them in like 2 years.
I do, because it's crazy.
Because I'm like, what is he like? He ain't talking about nothing. He ain't saying nothing. And I don't expect him to. I don't. His style is very avoidant and clever. That's his style. And so you're never going to,
well, kid at times.
Yeah, you're not going to ever get him saying, we failed this season because we haven't won any trophies. But it's
crazy.
just the truth. He doesn't have to say it for it to be the truth, does he?
Like you said earlier with Sterling, we've got eyes. Like, we've got eyes. And there's no statistics. There probably is. But there's no way you can look at Arsenal this year, Arsenal last year, and Arsenal the year before and say this is the best version, which in theory it should be, because you're meant to build and build and build. We're not better defensively compared to last season. We're definitely not better in an attacking sense than we were the year before. Still, regardless, though, we're up there for goals, for clean sheets, for all of this. So we've got a base. We have stagnated. Moving on from that and keeping up the theme with Arteta, yeah. He said, Mikel Arteta, on what phase Arsenal are in from his planned 5-phase plan. He said phase 4-2-5, establishing yourself at the highest level in the Champions League, consistently performing with a lot of unity and being very close to touching big trophies. What's that mean to you? I got art. I can guess, but the people want to know.
Unity, and it's just so, Mikel, I know what you are, and you are a politician. Like, that's it. I just think with Mikel, it's all about this, like, getting closer to where we want to be, and unity, and doing it together, and all that Disney
High School Musical, man.
Yeah, it's very much so Disney, so it means nothing to me. Mikel, whatever, but we're trying to win shit, so it's time to win something, brother. Like,
that's all we care about, but there's no point being great defensively and attacking and this player and that player and best team in 2024, bro. Win something, bro. That's it. Like, nobody, Saliba is talking about trophies. And I know Arteta's not an idiot. Like, I think this is idiotic statement in isolation to how I feel. You're definitely saying something completely different. My last thing for you then, yeah. I had to ask about set pieces. Arsenal's last goal scored from...
They've fallen off.
Yeah, why though? We played 12 games, had 94 corners without success. Is it because Saka's not here?
I think that a big part of it is the deliveries aren't the same with Saka. And like, Saka's our best deliverer, and then Declan is second. But I just feel like with Arsenal, there's always this desperation to overcomplicate things and to start changing things even when you don't need to. When we were doing short corners against Manchester United, one of the worst defensive sides when it comes to set pieces and not just putting it in the mixer, it was pissing me off so badly. We overthought it. There's a bunch of over fucking thinkers in this club. When we get it right, it's so good because it's like perfect. But then they're like, yeah, but let's just change this thing. Arteta and Jover and Inaki Kanya all have that same disease. They love to overthink it. You are a great set piece coach, but you have like tweaked it just ever so much where it doesn't work anymore. Hit it in the mixer, because most times we are bigger than the team that we're playing. And I don't understand why we just don't put it on Gabriel's head and let him head it in the back of the net. Just do that. The short corners, like we were doing short corners and putting it on the volley for like not Zlatan. Like, this isn't Zlatan. Like, you're not going to be able to flick it up to him at the top of the box and they're going to be able to volley it into the back of the net. You're doing that for Declan Rice. And I love Declan, but I don't care how many times he does it in training, he's not doing it in the real game. Like, I don't fucking get what we're doing, but they've fallen off.
A lovely volley against United, though. Different context, but you're right.
Yeah. There's the overthinking, the desperation to change things when you don't have to. And then there's the lack of good deliveries because Saka is no longer there. And then there's the people have found us out a little bit probably as well. And so some of the things that we've wanted to do haven't worked out as much, but just fucking put it on somebody's head. You have Saliba and Gabriel, fucking huge. Merino is out there. Just hit them. Yeah. Like, what are we doing, man? you know, so it's just crazy. But the fact that he has like a little mural is fun.
Do you know what? Funny enough, yeah, I think too much is being done by it. I mean, of course, I find it cringy and all of this, but on one hand, I like it because obviously I wish this wasn't a thing, but like these are guys that are the heartbeat of the football club to a sense. Like obviously Arteta or any other manager, you man are the managers, but you've got your coaching stuff, so it is quite nice. And I think out of all the things that are cringy with Arteta, the Arteta sexuals, the unnecessary badgering of the manager, the fucking North London Forever song, like there's so much things we need to get eradicate before that. But I hear you though, I do hear you, but that's what we are as a club. One love for the super chat. But with that, though, we are unnecessarily overrunning. The good news is that we are running over to Jess's stream immediately. Let people know they can find you, even though they know.
Yeah, just my name is in the title, I think.
Sell it a bit more. Where's the energy? What's all that about?
I don't know. But
it is in the title for Voice Work.
Yeah, you can click my name in the title, and then Jessica Black TV on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube as well. So yeah.
So yeah, man. With that being said, people, join us over on Jess's platform. We're gonna continue rambling about Arsenal. We'll see you in about a second, people.
Yeah,
One love.
seconds. Bye, guys.
2 seconds, man.